Welcome to another video from Dr. Lock. One of the questions I get asked quite a lot is what size is a particular mortise key or pipe key, and I'm going to take you through and tell you what the difference is and also give you some references to help you identify what type of key you're kind of looking for. So to start off with, I've got my vernier calipers here, I've got myself a ruler, and I've got myself a key gauge. Now you're probably not going to want to go out and buy close to $100 key gauge when you're only looking for one key, and I understand that. One of the biggest problems we're having is that people are asking what size is that in millimeters. We use millimeters in Australia, other places use imperial across the world. So what I'll do at the end of this video is I'll measure all of these sizes on this gauge and I'll put them up as a reference chart at the end of this video, so that way you can look and see which size you need in millimeters. Because unfortunately the gauge size doesn't represent millimeters, so unless you've got a gauge, you're not going to know what you need. All the keys are measured off the key gauge, so that's where the problem is. So I'll tell you how this key gauge works just for your reference. There's notches along the side here, okay, and they correspond with the numbers that are there. There's also how would you say, like a tower here with two sizes all the way down, and down the bottom here it says that the bottom part of the tower is this number here, the top part of the tower is these numbers here. So I will measure them. There's two types of key we're going to be talking about here. One of them is a pin type mortise key where it's got the pin on the end, and the other type is what we call a pipe key, which has a hole at the end, and I'll tell you what the difference is. So with a lot of safes you would most likely be dealing with a pin. With mortise locks, door locks, you'd probably be talking about a pin. Furniture locks, padlocks, you might be talking about a pipe. Old cabinets, old suitcases, old boxes, you'd probably be talking about a pin. Okay, so let's go through and have a look. Now, this gauge doesn't do all of them. Like, we'll probably find one or two very rare ones, like this Jackson, which might not actually be on there because that's extremely small. So this particular pipe key is for a Jackson padlock, which looks like this, but it'd be a different size. And what I'd do is I'd go through and I'd see if it fits on there. So even the smallest one there, oh, it does fit on there. It does fit on there. So right now I would be saying that would be a 12 on the gauge for the pin. So I'd be looking for the number 12 when referencing this. Okay, if I go through with another key here, I would go through and just until it's nice and snug, I would then be able to identify it. So can I push that on an 8? No. So I would be saying that's an 8.5 pin. Alright, so I will do all the conversions on these later at the end of the video. I have some wardrobe blocks here, so if you've got no key and you're trying to identify what type of key you're after, this particular one here, which looks like this, it's just a piece of flat mild steel sort of shaped, and it's very thin. This is what we call a standard cupboard lock. This takes the standard cupboard lock key most of the time. If you look on the back and it says any extra words like this one here, Jackson 4-lever, it's going to be a completely different kettle of fish. This one here it has one lever in there, I believe, but it's very, very simple, and that's why it takes just the standard key. You can also buy the lock as well from us, so you can swap the lock out and you get the key with it. So if you're looking for something that's on furniture, 60s, 70s, 80s and probably 90s, this might be exactly what you're looking for. If it's not, you can always get your vernier calipers here and measure. Okay, 3.8. and then we would go through on our key gauge size and find the one that's 3.8 or slightly below. Okay, so that's 3.7. I would say that one, or even, okay, 3.78, 8.5, like we said before. So you can actually measure that. The next thing about these keys is that they have what's called the flag on the end, okay? And a lot of the time when they do the measurements, they measure the size of the flag. On our website you'll probably see sizes of the flag. That's referring to this part down the bottom here, because if you can imagine, it's like a flag. Okay, so that would be that, referring to that size. Then you've got your overall length of the shaft. On some safes it requires it that, you know, it's actually longer because you've got to get through the door, and a lot of the time they do that, well, they will, when they give the measurements, they'll generally say either from the head of the key, that's the head, that's the tip, so they could do it like that, or they could do it from the head to the flag as well. So that would mean from here to here. Really depends on who writes the descriptions. Sometimes we use the descriptions that come with the keys, and sometimes that's a little bit technical. So that's just a bit of a rough gauge there. Okay, so for this one here, this is a Chubb. This is a very common type of safe key. To find that, I would simply go through on the outers here and find one that's fairly tight, not too loose, not too tight, and I'd be really happy with that. So I'd say 6.5 gauge for that pin key right there, pin mortise lock key, or sorry, pin pin mortise key. It's not really for a mortise lock, but anyway. If you have anything brass, when you're looking on furniture like this, and it's got 4 lever, you can see the window in there, it's going to be most likely a handmade key. You cannot get pre-made keys for these, so you will need to actually get the right key blank and then get somebody to sit there and hand file it up to actually suit. If I had nothing at all, I could start off by kind of just measuring what the hole is, so 7.45, and then I could also go through and kind of measure what the pin is as well. That will give me some sort of reference to what type of key I'm looking for. If I was to buy one up, one down, and one in the middle, I'll be guaranteed to have the key that I'm looking for. Here's an old, I think it's a Jackson padlock, SRA padlock. I could do the same there too. I could work out what it is. If it's 7.4, I would want to probably give it a little bit of clearance. I wouldn't be wanting 7.5. I'd probably be wanting something around, what have we got there? 8. I'll zero these in, yep. I've got 8.3. I'd probably be at about 8, because 0.3 of a millimetre, you're going to need that to get the clearance in. Alright, so now that's going over the keys. That's what we're kind of looking for. That's how to look for them. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through and I'm going to list the sizes. Now, the outer ones are relating to the pin. The inner ones are relating to the pipe with the hole in the end. So I'll go through now and I'll put up the chart for the rest of the video, and you can flick through and find that. When you find the gauge that you are after, you can go to our website and you can start to order keys that suit your needs. Okay, thanks for watching.